We're back, brothers DC, talking baseball, man. Mostly talking Houston baseball, but this week we're going to be talking divisional baseball, and we're focusing on the AL Central. Again, we'd like to remind you guys to go ahead and follow us on Twitter at HOU Basebald. You can also go like us on Facebook or send us an email on
Basebald.
Facebook Basebald, or email us at houbasebald@gmail.com. Also, go ahead and subscribe to this show on YouTube. It's free, and it helps us out, so we appreciate it. Spread the word. We're getting a lot of good feedback. We'd still like to hear from you guys.
Let us know what you differ your opinions on. And if you do differ with us and leave us hate mail or something like that, just leave your address, a picture of you, description, when you're usually home, things like that.
All right, moving on. Last week we talked about the AL West and how we thought the Astros were going to completely dominate it. This week we're talking, or this episode, we're talking AL Central.
Another tough division.
And I think the toughest in baseball. And we're going to just jump right into it so we can make sure we hit all these teams. I'm going to let you talk about the White Sox. Lots of movement this year on the offseason, and they look like they have a pretty solid team.
Yeah, I really love what they did. Obviously, adding Jeff Samardzija is key to their rotation. But, you look at some of the other things they did. They added LaRoche, Melky Cabrera, adding, Zach Duke just to their bullpen and Robertson.
Robertson's the big guy there in the bullpen.
So they addressed, all facets of the game right there. Starting pitching, hitting, depth, contact, just bat on ball guys, with Melky and LaRoche too. So, and in the bullpen, really rejuvenating it. To put Samardzija up there with Chris Sale,
that's a nice one too. And Quintana's a guy that gets looked over a lot too.
Yeah.
He's going to be pretty solid. I believe last couple of shows, 2 shows ago, we were talking about Rodon maybe being ready in the second half of this year. That's another guy you might be able to just slide in there if they're making a run.
I really was thinking about him, either if it was either in the bullpen or just coming in the back end rotation, which I think is more likely. They're just, I think that they're the clear favorites in the Central.
Yeah, they had a nice core already last year. Come Adam Eaton getting that trade, having him playing a good center field. Abreu being breakout rookie of the year, just mashing. Another guy that you're not going to hear a lot about, but I think is going to be a key to their team. Gold glove type guy at second base and a contact hitter. You're not going to get too much power, not too much speed, but solid baseball player, and he's going to be an unheralded part of this team, is Carlos Sanchez. So that's another name to listen for. If he doesn't work out, if he needs a couple extra months, you got Bonifacio, and they just re-signed Gordon Beckham to help him out. Connor Gillespie playing the hot corner there, and steady defense up the middle with Alexi Ramirez.
Yeah.
Huge on Abasel Garcia playing the other corner outfield, and you already mentioned Melky Cabrera. Man, they're stacked.
Yeah, and they have depth, like you just said. They added depth in other areas. Love the flexibility with LaRoche, being able to play first base and spell Abreu every now and again, or flip-flop them in DH first base roles.
Tyler Flowers will be catching for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
it's a good-looking team.
If Adam Eaton stays healthy and gets on base, I think, look out, man. They don't really have a lot of weaknesses.
The one weakness that I did see on this team is lack of depth in the starting rotation. You got those big 3 pitchers that we talked about in Samardzija, Sale, and Quintana. You have Danks and Noesi. But beyond that, if there's any injuries, it falls off. We did talk about Rodon maybe being there and
maybe
coming
that
up.
rushes him up if there is an injury to the back half of that rotation or the front end.
Starting pitching depth is a little bit troublesome. I'm not huge on a lot of the other arms there. Obviously, Robertson coming in to shut down the ninth, and Zach Duke because Nate Jones had Tommy John surgery, so now you got a lefty in the bullpen. Patrica, Webb, Putnam. So they do have some decent major league arms out there. I'm not sold on all of them, but it's pretty solid across the board. I think maybe just starting pitching depth is going to be a problem. But I think I want to move in. Unless you have anything else to talk about with the White
You
Sox.
have them picking. You have them.
I do. I think. I think
agree. Wow.
I think we're going to agree on pretty much every single slot, 1 through 5 in this division.
I think so.
But
So
it's going to be tough.
For you is
Second place for me is Cleveland. I got Cleveland. I like their outfield. They go out and get Brandon Moss. Michael Brantley's turned into a superstar. Hopefully Michael Bourne can bounce back for them. They got Nick Swisher at the DH spot now instead of playing the outfield or first base because they moved Carlos Santana to first base. You got Kipnis at second. They have Jose Ramirez at shortstop. I think that's just for a couple of months until Lindor comes up.
Francisco Lindor comes up.
And then Chisenhall finally seems like he figured out major league pitching.
Post-type babies who's had a great 2014. So
may be able to stick around for a little while. And then Yan Gomes manning behind the plate. You got Cody Allen in the bullpen. I think that is their weakness. As I look at this team, I think their bullpen is gonna hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna lose a lot of games late, kind of like the Astros did last year. Cody Allen is a reliable closer. I'm not gonna go out and say he's a top-notch closer, but I think he can get the job done. I just don't think any of the arms in front of him are anything that are gonna worry a team in the 7th, 8th innings. And but they do have the starting pitching. They got Kluber, reigning Cy Young from last year. I think he's gonna be steady. He's gonna be the exact same. I think he's an ace. Danny Salazar, now that his off-season troubles are behind, off-the-field troubles are behind him.
Yeah,
he's going to be
learn how to pitch instead of just trying to throw it by everybody. He could be deadly. I mean, he seemed to go 5 innings and taper off, or 4 1/3 innings and just implode. So, if he can get his mind right, then that certainly assists everything else. Trevor Bauer,
Carrasco, Floyd. So I think that Cleveland's going to have enough there to go all the way to the end. If they have a stumbling block, it's going to be in the bullpen, 7th and 8th innings.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that goes in April and May. I'm sure they'll be keeping a close eye on it, see if they need to go get another arm.
Yeah, I don't see how Bourne and Swisher could both be as bad as they were last year. I like Michael Bourne. He's a local guy, so I would like to see him bounce back a little bit. And I think that if Kipnis stays healthy, could be a big year for him.
The only other guy I'd like to throw out for Cleveland is Tyler Naquin. If he can stay healthy and maybe come up, an Aggie, local guy. He just does nothing but hit. He's a contact guy, but he's got to stay healthy, and he could see maybe some time in there as a 4th outfielder this year. And if Bourne can't play, maybe even get some run in center field.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the defending champs division.
Yeah, number 3, I've slotted the Detroit Tigers. I thought that their losses are going to be too great. That's not just the losses of Scherzer and Porcello from the rotation, but also some of these injuries that are happening at the beginning of the season through the spring. With some of the guys that are a little bit older, right? Miguel Cabrera broke his foot. He's a big guy, heavy guy. I wonder how much that's going to, affect him in his season, at least in the first quarter or first half.
Up until a couple of days ago, the plan was to give him some time off, let him DH a little bit, and have Victor at first base. But then what happened?
Disaster. Victor's knee gets a meniscus tear, and now he's out.
We'll see. He's going to have surgery on Tuesday.
Yeah, unclear to see what the timeline is on him. But it's tricky with him because he's 36. He's got knee history, and I can't afford to rush him back.
No, but I think this is nothing with the ligaments. It's just a meniscus tear, so hopefully they can get in there, clean it up, reattach it, and 4 to 6 weeks. I'd like to see Victor be ready right around opening day
it's
or
a
right
strength
after.
and a confidence thing, though, and I think the older you get with that, that's tricky. And they're obviously Cabrera is the key of the whole offense, but he is almost as important. Victor Martinez.
Yeah.
In protecting him, he's the perfect left-handed bat to back him up. All he does is hit. You know him. You're big in love with that guy.
I do. I have a man crush for Victor Martinez.
But they do have other bats. If J.D. Martinez breakthrough season continues into a full-blown career here. That's big, and they also have Yoenis Cespedes.
They did. They got Cespedes out there. I'm interested to see how much his power plays at Comerica. It's a big park, but that should be interesting to see. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that that Victor bounces back from the meniscus and Cabrera's fine with the foot. You know, neither of those guys were going to be tearing it up on the bases anyways. We need them in the batter's box. I think both of them should be fine. You do that, you got JD and Cespedes right in the middle of that lineup. Castellanos with another year under his belt playing third.
Yeah, and Jose Iglesias as well. You know, that left side of the infield. It'll be interesting to see what they do with one more year under the belt.
People don't sell Kinsler short. Second, you got him batting in that 2-hole probably still, and we'll see if this is Anthony Gos's time coming over from Toronto. Hopefully he's able to put it together and. But Raj Davis is there to back him up in case he's falters. You got help me out with the catcher here.
Avila.
Yeah, a great catcher, and hopefully he'll be able to carry some of the weight while Victor and Miggy are coming back in April. The bullpen's not as bad as people say. I mean, Nathan. Soria, Rondon, Albuquerque.
The good arms out there.
They got a lot of good arms. I think Nathan bounces back. His second half was pretty good, and
you've got Soria to lean on.
Rondon. So it's going to be good. Starting pitching, hopefully another bounce back year for Verlander. David Price, Anibal Sanchez, Alfredo Simon, who they got from the Reds this year, and Shane Green, who they picked up from the Yankees, all in trades. I think they're going to be fine in the pitching department, but it is a little. It's not as deep as it was.
We'll see. I'm worried. I like the pitching, but we'll see what happens. And David Price in a contract year, he's got something to play for a lot here. Verlander, we'll see what he can come back and do. He had a bad year last year.
He did,
and it makes you wonder, how's he going to do now?
But speaking of last year, the guys that really surprised and were the heroes of and went to the World Series were the Royals. And I just don't see it happening again.
No.
They lost too much, I think. Tried to replace it with Rios and Kendrys Morales. Rios, Kane, and Gordon will be your outfield. Mustaka's still there at third. Hosmer at first. Can Hosmer step up and start hitting like he's supposed to, like he showed us he can in the World Series?
I'm going to say no.
All right. He can't do it for a full season?
I'm going to say no, he doesn't do enough to be able to make this offense go.
Alcides Escobar and Omar Infante up the middle. Probably the most important player to any team in the league, I think, is Sal Perez behind the plate.
Oh, yeah.
For them. They did, like I said, bring over Kendrys Morales. But their pitching staff is young. You lose James Shields.
They don't have that leader on the staff anymore. Somebody that says, let's go get him.
No, they do have some veterans. They signed Edison Volquez, and they're taking a chance on Chris Medlin that he can come back after his second Tommy John. They got Guthrie still. I'm big on Danny Duffy. I think this is a big year for him. Lefty Jason Vargas, and of course the fireballer Jordana Ventura, who I've always been high on.
Yeah,
and the bullpen. Let's face it, that was the key for them last year.
Testing the bigs, but yeah, not enough all around to keep them in contention this year. They're going to finish fourth. So we do have exactly the same list here, and it rounds out with Minnesota.
Yeah, and Minnesota, I wanted to say Kyle Zimmer might be a guy that comes up in the second half and really helps out KC.
Okay, yeah.
Minnesota, along those same lines, you're looking at a team getting ready for their future. A lot of good prospects coming up.
Yeah, a year away maybe.
Probably a year away from
contention. You want to solidify your guys this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Big prospect.
I don't know when we're going to see them though. I don't know if you see Buxton this year because he missed pretty much all last year. Sano did miss all last year. I think
Sano, the big third baseman, power hitter.
Yeah, Byron Buxton was a first round overall draft, or he was the second overall behind Correa. He was the number one prospect in baseball by a couple of different people. Miguel Sano, a third base prospect. Cole Stewart, who was a local kid, signed with the Aggies.
Yeah.
But is going to be is a pitcher for them up there. Alex Meyer, another pitcher, Barrios.
Was it Barrios?
Looks like the real deal.
All those guys, maybe a year. Maybe they see a little time this year for sure, actually. But next year is the year that they'll, be solidified and see what they can do.
But just to give you guys who the Twins are going to be playing this year, Arcia, Aaron Hicks, and they got Torrey Hunter back. That'll be your outfield.
Danny Santana could be fun to watch at shortstop.
Danny Santana. I'll be interested to see if he actually does play shortstop.
Or plays in the outfield, yeah.
Or if they move him to the outfield. Dozier at second base was a revelation for them last year.
Kind of cool. Paul Molitor's the manager.
I'm really pumped about that. I was going to mention that too. I'm glad you did.
He was saying that he was going to play Danny at shortstop at least to start off the season. But yeah, you get that position flexibility as well.
Any chance we can have a 55-year-old Molitor coming off the bench, player manager type, pinch hitting?
Would be nice.
Kenny Vargas, DH, Suzuki and Yasmil Pinto. Maybe he gets another chance. Maurer at first, Plouffe at third until Sano's ready.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a lot of stopgaps there, I think, until the young kids are ready.
Not a ton of power on the team right now.
No, I do like Vargas. I'm a big Vargas guy. But
Vargas, Dozier. That's about it.
yeah, so not much to look forward to in Minnesota this year, I think. Glenn Perkins closing it out. Starting rotation, Phil Hughes. They did sign Irvin Santana. Kyle Gibson, Velasco, Malone. They actually have more depth than the Tigers without the high end guys.
They don't have
Price,
that ace, you know.
Anibal Sanchez. But the Twins, I think the pitching staff can keep them in a lot of games until the rookies get up here. It's going to be interesting to see how fast they push them and if those guys come up here.
Yeah. Assume Minnesota, but not this year.
Yeah. So I got. I think we're in agreement. White Sox are going to take the division.
Yep.
With Cleveland and Detroit right on their heels. I think Casey takes a step back, and Minnesota's just not ready this year. So I think that one, it's going to be a tough division, but I think it's going to be a pretty close race there for those three teams. And I think one of those guys will get a wild card. Should be pretty fun. But that's our wrap up of the AL Central. And next week we'll hit the big East Coast guys, the AL East, and see what the Yankees and Red Sox did in the offseason. So for my brother Brian, I'm Brandon. Go Stros.
Go Stros.
We're talking baseball. Klazuski, Campanella talking baseball. The man and Bobby Fella, the Scooter, the Barber and the Nuke. They knew 'em all from Boston to